David Williams here. May the Spirit of God open your ears to hear what's real and why. That's what we are always discussing, evaluating, working on, grasping, working on understanding. What's real? What's God doing? So, one of the things that we want to start off with today is the reality that you're not cool. You're not cool. You are hot. You're not cool. You are hot. So, we consider the sense of obligation. We consider the sense of obligation that many believers, many of those who know that Jesus Christ is real and who know that Jesus Christ is in control, many of us who know that Jesus is real and we know that he's in control, many of us struggle with the fear that the others can control, are in control of our being, our lives. So, that term cool, one of the descriptions of it in our generation is acceptable. Oh, he's cool, she's cool. What are we saying? He's acceptable, she's acceptable. Now, it is necessary to be acceptable. Jesus talked about being wise as serpents, meaning learning how to blend in to your society in a way that enables you to fulfill the purposes of God, right? So you are supposed to be in the midst of a group of people, and you are supposed to be able to fulfill the purposes of God for your life in the midst of those people without unnecessary disturbance or hardship. As much as is possible, live peaceably with all men. So live peacefully with all men. So we are supposed to have peace with people. Generally speaking, we are supposed to have peace with people. Jesus was a man of peace. So people despised Jesus because they did not want to submit to God. And they didn't want Jesus to be explaining the truth. They didn't want him to be explaining the truth. They didn't want Jesus to be enforcing the righteousness of God in power. That's why they despised Jesus. That's why they despised John the Baptist, whoever despised John the Baptist. So people didn't despise Jesus or despise John the Baptist because Jesus was a liar or violent or because he used profane language. People despised Jesus because they wanted to live as though there was no God, and Jesus was revealing to them that they were accountable to God. And he did that in miraculous fashion. So they despised him. Those who despised Jesus because of that. They didn't hate him because he was lazy. They didn't hate him because he was governed by pride. They hated Jesus because he preached the realities of heaven, the expectations of God Almighty to them. That's why they despised Jesus. Jesus made that clear in John chapter 7. No, they despised me because I let them know God's will for their lives. I love them. My Father loves them. And we tell them his expectations. We explain to them how to spend eternity with God. That's why they hate me and my Father. So they hated Jesus and his Father because he would explain the truth to them. That's why they despised him. They didn't despise Jesus because he was, rebellious or because he was a cheater. Outside of your responsibilities to represent the truth of God, generally you should be lovable. You should be lovable. You should be accepted. All right. So in that sense, yes, you should be embraced. In that sense, you should be embraced. People should support you. They should applaud you. They should affirm you in a natural sense. Naturally speaking, you are supposed to be, you're supposed to healthily interact with the people around you, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man will see God. So, being cool, all right? A person could say, and so that term, again, could refer to being accepted or acceptable. Oh, he's cool, she's cool, that's cool. Meaning that is going to fit within the framework. It's going to meet expectations. It's satisfactory. Oh, he's cool, she's cool. And many believers are hoping and trying to be cool. Hoping and trying to be cool. Oh, he's cool, she's cool, they're cool, that's cool. That church is cool. It's cool. But the Lord wants you to know that you're not cool. You're not cool. You're fire. You're not cool. You're fire. You're fire. You're not cool. The church's job isn't to be cool. The man of God's job isn't to be cool. The woman of God can't be focused on being cool. The world can't tell us what we need to be to reach it. Who is the world? The liars, the rebellious, the witches. The witches can't tell us what it takes to be cool. The double-minded can't tell us that no. Though the lazy, they can't tell us what we're supposed to be. Jesus tells us what to do. And we love people. We love God and we love people. We love God. We love people. We want our churches to be attractive, right? You want people to be able to come to your church. Come one, come all. Come to church. Listen, come here. Well, why should they come to church? They shouldn't come to church because it's cool. Oh, no, come to church because you'll like it. You'll be able to compare it to what you're coming out of. No, if you come to the church, it'll feel like you're at the movies. It'll feel like you're at a stand-up comedy improv club. It'll feel like you're at a baseball game. It'll feel like you're at, I don't know, a seminar, a self-help seminar. It'll feel like you're at a carnival. It'll feel like you're with family members. Hey, come to church. We're going to make you feel at home. At home? At home? Where are they from? What do they do at home? You'll feel right at home. You'll feel right at home. Interact with me. You'll feel right at home. No, that's not. No. We're not supposed to. So the church people, there was a time when people wanted to be church people. Nowadays, that word church is practically, it's despised among professed believers. Certain people don't even want their assemblies to be described as church. But we need to reclaim church. We need to, the believer needs to reclaim the title of Christian, the title of saint, the title of disciple. Yeah. The Christian needs to be, and I don't use the word proud as proud, sin. The Christian needs to embrace his identity. The man of God, the woman of God, the person who knows Jesus is real needs to embrace the title Christian. You need to embrace the church. Yes, church. I go to church and I'm a Christian. Oh, a Christian? Aren't you all the ones who went all over the world forcing other cultures to become what you are? No. That's not, no. Christians don't do that. Christians go all over the world and we explain to people what life is about. And if they accept it, then they benefit. If they don't, then they suffer. We don't go around with armies and with corruption. That's not what we do. False religions have done that. The Christians, we operate in the knowledge and power of Jesus Christ and the love of Jesus Christ. We're here to rescue people and to let them know how to obtain absolute peace, joy, and love and hope in this life and in the life to come. And if people don't want that, then we shake off the dust of our feet and we go elsewhere. We see if people wanted to cross the street or across the seas. No, that's not. No. We don't do any inquisition and any destroying of people's cultures or spreading of diseases intentionally. That's not what we do. That's what others do in our name. So people have stolen or attempted to steal our identity. They do evil things in the name of the Jesus that we serve. But no. The church is not. No, we don't kill people. The church does not kill people. People kill people, and governments kill people, and false religions kill people. The only people who kill people are regular. No, regular people kill people. You, the person I'm talking to, you kill people. I don't kill people. I'm a Christian. The Christian doesn't kill. The Christian doesn't steal. The Christian doesn't destroy. That's for everybody who's not Christian. I am trying to rescue you all through the revelation of Jesus from the fact that you all are, aggressive murderers. I'm just trying to help you. I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a Christian. Now, that guy is an axe murderer and calls himself a Christian. Listen, he calls himself a Christian. He can call himself a dog. He can call himself a woman. He's not. Just because he calls himself a woman, it doesn't make him a woman, does it? Right? So just because that guy calls himself a Christian doesn't make him a Christian, does it? If my president says he's a Christian, that doesn't make him a Christian because he says it. And if this guy says he's an elephant, it doesn't make him an elephant. And if that guy says he's Snoopy the dog, he's not Snoopy the dog. You cannot embrace him as Snoopy the dog. Right? Right? No. So I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. It doesn't matter that guy said he was a Christian and did bad things. I'm a Christian and I go to church. Yeah, the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. And if any man suffer as a Christian, let him be encouraged. So you should be encouraged to identify as a Christian. You should be encouraged to identify as a member, a healthy, functioning member of the church. So there are people who despise those terms, those titles, Christianity and church. Listen, I'm not going to be among them, and I hope that you're not among them, because those are good Bible words, terms, church and Christian. So that stated, we need to know that the Christian isn't cool. The Christian isn't cool. The church is not cool. That's not, no. Now, if someone wants to call you that simply because they're saying they accept you, well, then that's their terminology. It is not your job to be cool. It's your job to be hot. Now, what does hot look like? You need to consider what hot looks like. What does it mean to be cool in the context with which I'm speaking it? To be cool, it means to meet the standards of the society, of the people, meet the expectations of those around you. Now you have to consider what expectations, who is telling me to do what? What framework am I attempting to fit in with? Who should accept me, and what is the basis of their acceptance? Why do you accept me? Do you accept me because I come to work on time? Do you accept me because I share my lunch with you? Do you accept me because I told you that your gas tank door was open? Do you accept me because I'm cordial when I check out at the cash register? Why? Yes, you should accept me because of all of that. My motive, your motive isn't to be accepted in the sense that you are willing to hide. Now, it is true that the Spirit of God could limit what he wants you to say and do. He often does. He does. He bridles our tongue. So if we are interacting with people who have resisted the message that we preach, if they've resisted Jesus and they've communicated with clarity that they don't embrace the Jesus that you're talking about, well, from that point, you're just going to live as a Christian and you're going to stop preaching to them because Jesus commanded us not to give holy things to dogs. If a guy says, listen, I'm a dog. If the lady says she's a pig, if they communicate the fact that they don't want your Jesus, then stop preaching Jesus to them unless the Spirit of God commands you in a very identifiable way and confirms it through other sources that you're not supposed to be doing that. Stop preaching Jesus to them. Just be a good neighbor as a Christian, though. Be a good neighbor. Okay. So you don't want what I don't want what you have to say. All right, well, may God have mercy on you unto repentance. And then you're going to stop preaching to them. But you're going to live as a Christian. Your light is going to shine. All right, well, I guess I'll just be a Christian myself. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what does that mean? That means I'm going to have time. I'm going to talk about my life if we're having a conversation. Well, I'm not from that point, you're not preaching to them. From that point, you're just living as a Christian. Absolutely. What are you doing? Hey, I saw you mumbling to yourself. What were you doing? Oh, I was praying. Oh, there you go with that Jesus stuff. What are you talking about? I didn't ask you what you were doing over there when you pulled out another cigarette. I didn't ask you what you were doing when, I saw you over there at coming out of the gym with your yoga mat. I didn't ask you I didn't run up on you and ask you what you were doing when you were, I didn't ask you what you were doing when I saw you with your headphones on and you were nodding it, and I'm sure you were listening to garbage. I didn't ask you what you were doing. What are you asking me about what I'm doing? Like, I already told you I'm this. You didn't want me to talk to you about it, so I don't. But I'm still a Christian. I know I'm a Christian. And if you want to present to me some garbage about politics and I suck my teeth and shake my head and walk away, why are you surprised? Why are you surprised? Oh, you want me to be cool. I already told you. I was trying to save you. I'm talking to you about Jesus. You don't want it. And so I don't preach to you. But don't preach to me. I'm not going to so we've just made a deal. I'm not going to preach to you because you apparently don't want it. And I can't force it down your throat. And you are not going to preach to me. Don't talk to me about Kanye. Don't talk to me about Biden. Don't talk to me about Superman. Don't talk to me about Spider-Man. Don't talk to me. No. Don't talk to me about Star Wars. I don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about Jesus. And I don't want to talk about Yoda. So let's not. Right? You don't want to talk to me about that. So then when you ask me about Tom Brady breaking Johnny Unitas' record, Johnny Unitas, I don't even know who that is, I'm sorry. The coach for the old football player from 19 something. Yeah, Peyton Manning and this other guy just broke his record. Oh, okay. Aren't you excited? I don't know who those guys are. Those guys, I don't know. And if I do and did, I don't recognize them anymore. I don't know who Tom Brady. I don't know who Tom Brady is who used to play for the Patriots. I have no idea who that guy is. I don't know who he is. You obviously know who he is. I don't acknowledge him. I'm not cool with him. He's not cool with me. If I ever see him, we can talk about Jesus. I'm not cool with him. He's not cool with me. I don't even know who, Michael Jordan is. Who's Michael Jordan? I don't know who he is. What do you mean? You know who he is. I don't acknowledge him. If that's what you're asking me, I don't acknowledge him. He doesn't acknowledge Jesus. I don't acknowledge him. If I were to see him, out of respect for the fact that there's a human standing in the elevator, I might give him one of these. Or I might not. I might just ignore him because I think he expects me to talk to him. So I might just ignore him because he's a preacher. I'm a preacher. He's a preacher. No. He's preaching his life. If he doesn't want access to Jesus, I don't want access to, James Naismith from the NBA. I don't know. I don't want to know who Larry Bird is. I don't want to know. If we can't talk about Peter and James and John and Andrew, then we can't talk about Larry Bird. That's what's the problem. It's not your job to be cool. It's your job to be fire. You're not cool, are you? You're fire. You're not cool. You're not cool. You don't know who Conor McGregor is in UFC? Hey, man, did you hear about Conor McGregor? No, I didn't. Hey, man, he just won the national. I don't care. I don't care about Conor McGregor. I don't care. I don't care. I don't know who that guy is. I don't acknowledge him. Hey, man, you're supposed to be a Christian. Yeah. What does that have to do with that guy? Well, you're supposed to kind of, like want to relate and get on my level. God forbid, I love you. I don't want to get on your level. That's hell. I don't want to go to hell, man. I'm trying to get you out of there. No, that's not. Absolutely not. I don't want to go to hell. I just told you before you told me not to tell you about Jesus, about hell. I told you about hell. You said you didn't want to talk about hell anymore. You said it was scary. You said I was scaring you. You told the boss. You told the teacher. You told dad. You told mom. You called the uncle. You called the family when I talked to you about Jesus, and you wanted to tell people. No. So I decided, since you wanted to tell people that I was this way, I didn't want you to mock God and mock me, and I didn't want to get you into greater trouble with God for rejecting it. So I decided to keep my pearls in my pocket and to keep my holy things in my heart. And so I don't talk to you about Jesus. And so you're not going to talk to me about Warren Sapp and no, let's talk about regular things then. As you watch me be a Christian, because I'm a Christian and I go to church. I am a Christian and I go to church. Yeah. And it is your job to represent Christ Jesus and the church. You represent Jesus and his church. That's what you represent. It doesn't matter how many false prophets, apostles, false. No, you're not false. You better not be false. You say, well, that guy's false. It doesn't matter. We don't forsake humanity because guys steal, kill, and destroy. Humans kill, steal, and destroy. No, well, that's what those guys do. I don't do that. Oh, that guy steals and rapes, and I don't steal and rape, man. It's a shame. I'm trying to preach to people like that who do that. And if they don't want to listen to me or guys like me, then I don't, no. We're encouraged about being a Christian. All right, so the men of God in your Bible, let's talk about a man who had an opportunity to be cool, and he wasn't cool. You are not to be cool. You're not supposed to be cool. You're supposed to be hot. I want to read you a story about a hot man. Verse 1 of Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. These spiritual entities looked at these women and saw that they were attractive. How can angels think women are attractive, are sexually attracting? Because God made them. God made the angels, God made the women. The mighty God makes things beautiful. And so these spirits, these high, powerful spirits, looked at those women, and they wanted to they wanted to engage the pleasure of these women. Oh, wow, they're pleasurable. And they had motives and purposes. And so however they're doing it, they're manifesting in physical form. Whatever they're doing, they're interacting with these women. They're becoming physical enough for the woman to get pregnant. They're conceiving as a result of their interaction with these high spiritual entities. And it says they took them wives of all which they chose. And that just talks about, cohabitation. They're sexually interacting there. And the Lord said, my spirit will not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh. For that he also is flesh, yet his days will be 120 years. God shortens the lifespan of humanity. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, they bore children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So it's saying that some of the legends and ancient people that had very notable reputations, they weren't all human. They weren't They weren't completely human, many of them. Isn't that an interesting historical fact? How they weren't completely human. Verse 5, and God saw the wickedness of man. So being cool. All right then. What happens when the wicked think you're cool? What happens when you believe it is your job to be cool, to appease, to have access to the wicked? Because you do know that lots of the church leaders, at least in America, want to be cool. Yeah. If you want a large church in America during this era, you gotta be cool to have lots of people just flowing into your church in this generation in America. Now, if you got 1 million people in China, listen, may the power of God continue to do wonderful things in the hearts of those people. If you got 1 million people and you're down in Argentina doing ministry, wonderful. May the Spirit of God continue to bless people. Bless your work in Argentina. Bless your work in Vancouver. Bless your work in the Philippines. Bless your work over in Vietnam. Praise the Lord. But in America, in the U.S. of A, to be that popular in the U.S. of A, we have discovered by simple search that in order to attract that many Americans or American-minded people to your church, you gotta be cool. So the cool churches and leaders are setting the trend for the not so cool church leaders. So you got these church people who want to. I saw a brief advertisement on my Facebook, and I just scrolled right past it because I said, I said to myself, if I stop on this right here, I am going to waste my time. I'm going to waste my soul. I said that. I said, if I stop on it, I said, David, if you stop on this, as interesting as it seems, David, if you spend another second, because the thing is, as I'm scrolling, I'm just like, seeing things. I'm just seeing stuff, right? I'm seeing stuff, and I keep it muted. I don't want it to just talk to me. I don't want it to just talk to me now. Don't let it just talk to me, because I don't know what it's gonna sow. I don't know what seed it's gonna sow. So I keep the volume muted. No, I don't want it to talk to me. So I can make sure it doesn't just talk to me just because I'm scrolling. And then obviously we try to limit our scrolling, because the advertisements are preaching. They're preaching and they're preaching aggressively. Yeah, they want to tell me some things that I don't necessarily want to hear. But they are preaching to me. They don't want me to preach to them, but they're preaching to me. So I got to make sure that I'm stable. So we're guarding our hearts and we're governing our communication. So yeah, so we say, oh my goodness, what's on here? And so as you got people on there trying to talk to you, you see that there and you say, okay, well. And so I saw this advertisement and I saw the wording above it, and it said something like, we doubled our church in size. We doubled the church. I saw an older guy. I saw some words above it. Maybe the captions were auto-generated. I don't remember if I saw captions. I don't remember if I saw words above. He simply said, our church doubled in size. I said, whoa! Keep going. Scroll up. Turn the phone off. Get it out of your hand. Whoa, what'd you say? Our church doubled in size, because as you get closer to Jesus, you're going to get hotter. As you get closer to Jesus, you are going to get hotter and hotter, because Jesus is fire. And you can't get close to him unless you are fire. You can't get close to Jesus unless you are fire, as Jesus is fire. You got to be like him to approach him. That's what it says. For who is like me? Who is that servant who will approach me? You got to be like him to approach him. Otherwise, he's going to devour you. So you got to be like Jesus. So that means the things that make Jesus happy make you happy as you get closer to him. The things that make Jesus upset make you upset as you get closer. So as you get closer to Jesus, the things that make Jesus happy make you happy. The things that make Jesus angry make you angry. There's still a way that you're supposed to express that, happiness or anger. But yes, as you get closer to Jesus, you begin to take on his nature more and more. So your reaction to things, you may have seen that type of thing last year, the year prior to that, 5 years ago. You may have been hearing the same false teaching every year from other sources. But as you're getting closer to Jesus, it bothers you more. It bothers you more. So when you were in the faith for 2 years, you heard a pastor say he doubled his church in size and that other pastors can double their church in size if they follow his method. You may have heard that 2 years into your faith and you may have just sucked your teeth and shook your head. That's a shame. But now you've been 20 years in the faith, or 10 years, 15 years in the faith, and when you hear that exact same thing from somebody else, your wrath is kindled. I cannot believe people are doing this. It's as if it's the first time you heard it in your whole life. Like, I cannot believe. Why are you feeling? You've been hearing that for your whole faith. It doesn't matter. I'm getting closer to Jesus. I'm spending time with him in prayer. I'm reading his Bible. I love him. I spend time with his people. I'm receiving more of his glory. So my feelings about his truth are getting stronger. They're not getting weaker. I don't just say, oh, they've been saying that for 20 years. No! The zeal of his house is eating me up more and more and more. I'm getting more and more zealous for him. I'm not getting less zealous for him. I'm getting more zealous for him. And so since I'm getting more zealous for him than the things that used to bother me about sin and unrighteousness 14 years ago, I am feeling more. No, I'm getting angrier concerning sin. Now, I better not be messing with my faith. But it's bothering me. No, it bothers me that people are doing bad things. I'm not getting cooler and cooler with it. I don't understand. You should understand. People, no, I don't. And I don't want to understand. If it's contrary to the nature of Jesus, I am becoming more like him. And the more like him I'm becoming, the more disdain I have for those things over there. Yeah, I despised it at level 1, 15 years ago. And now I despise it at level 15. Yeah, I don't want it. I don't like it. It's not the will of God. And you are becoming more like God. So you are becoming hotter and hotter and hotter. You're becoming hotter. You're not becoming colder. You're not cool. The Christian is not cool. The Christian is not cool. No. The Christian is hot. Or it's supposed to be. It's getting hotter. No. The Christian is hot. The Christian is hot and getting hotter. Yeah. The church is a fireplace. And it's getting, it's hotter and hotter and hotter. Church is not a cool place. You're not supposed to walk into church and feel right at home unless you are of the same spirit. You got to feel like you got to be of the same spirit to feel accepted here. You got to be of the same spirit to be accepted here. You know what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 14? And many people don't like this because they don't understand it. And so Paul said about the gift. Do you know what the gift of tongues? Did you know, according to the word of God In 1 Corinthians 14, the gift of tongues is to show people that are out of the faith that they are out of the faith and missing out on something. That's what the gift of tongues is for. The gift of tongues is to show people that they are on the outside and not on the inside. Did you know that? The gift of tongues, unless it's spoken with interpretation, when you hear a person speaking in tongues and you don't understand what they're doing, that's to show you that you're on the outside. Oh, why don't I understand what you're saying? Oh, yeah, man, that's just me talking to God by his spirit. Yeah, he gave me his spirit, and so he gives me languages to talk to him by. Well, why don't I understand what you're saying? Oh, it's only because I'm not talking to you. But can you speak my language? Oh, I can speak your language. Well, why don't you speak it when you're talking to God? I mean, I want to talk to God too. Well, then go ahead and talk to him. Yeah, but I want to, know what you're saying. Mind your business. If we're engaging, now if we're in one place and I want to understand that, hey, we're worshiping together, if we're supposed to be in one place worshiping together and I'm closer to you, then I'm going to do my best to speak in a language that you understand. If you are not a real person, then what I'm saying is none of your business. This is Daniel chapter 5, isn't it? God speaks to this guy, Belshazzar. Belshazzar doesn't know the heavenly language. That's heaven's language. Belshazzar made some bad decisions. And Belshazzar used the temple vessels, from Jerusalem for his regular drinking vessels and praised the gods of gold and silver and stone. And then Daniel, and so the Spirit of God wrote on Belshazzar's wall. He wrote some names, some words that Belshazzar didn't understand. Belshazzar didn't understand it. Belshazzar's servants and princes didn't understand the writing. They didn't understand. And so none of them could interpret what it said, but it said something that was going to affect Belshazzar and his kingdom. What does that say? Oh, you don't know what it says? I don't know what it says. Why can't I know what it says? Oh, it's because you're not accepted by the Spirit that wrote that. Well, who could know? Well, there's a man, his name is Daniel. I mean, he serves the ultimate God, the supreme God. Maybe you can call him. He probably can help you understand that. So they called Daniel in, and Belshazzar says, Daniel, can you read that for me? And Daniel says, I'll read that for you. But before I read that for you, I want to tell you that there is a God, and you offended him. You made him very upset. You knew better than to do what you just did with his precious holy vessels, these holy instruments and, these utensils and things. These utensils that you're drinking out of and that you're eating with and praising the false gods of your false country, these things right here, they belong to the temple at Jerusalem that your grandfather took away out of the temple. And now you're just acting like the God of the Hebrews and the God of that people is inactive and as though he's weak or invisible or just inactive. You don't know. So he's very angry with you, and so let me read this writing to you. Well, why can you read it? Oh, because the Spirit that wrote that is with me. So he talks to me. And so you needed me to come in here and do that because that God, the Spirit that did that, he controls me. He's in me. So that's why I have to read that to you, or someone like me who has access to this God has to read that to you according to that Spirit's will. So I can read that to you. And it says that God is holding you accountable for your actions and you failed inspection. It says you failed inspection. And it says that your kingdom has expired. And that's what it says. It says you failed inspection by God Almighty and that your kingdom has expired and that it's time for you to die. That's what it says. And Daniel can't be cool in this moment. Well, if God was talking to Belshazzar, why would Daniel be the one to have to understand that? Because God wanted to show Belshazzar that he's out and that his servant Daniel is in. No, Daniel's in, you're out. So the gift of tongues, when a person is praying to God in languages that God gave to him, and you are within earshot and you hear that, if you don't understand it, it's because that person is praying to God, and that communication is private. Now, it's true, again, in the corporate assembly, as much as is possible, the believer is trying to be united. But then again, the question comes about, with whom? Because for this guy to say, I doubled my church in size. Oh, yeah? So you mean to tell me that your church doubled in size? Yes, my church doubled in size. Well, now the question is, how did this happen? Then the question becomes, why are you telling us that? Then another question is, what message do you preach? What standards are you setting for all of these people who have come? Are these people more like Jesus, according to the Bible? So, saying that you've doubled your church in size is the same as saying you were having a barbecue and you had coals lit under the grate. So the coals were lit. And saying you doubled your church in size is saying that you came with a cooler of ice and poured it into the barbecue pit. And you just filled your smoldering coals with a bunch of ice. And you say you've increased your substance. That's what people are saying. And if you think that's not what they're saying, you're wrong. Now, you might be right. What you could be saying is, David, you're wrong. He already had ice in there, and he just put more ice. So you might be right if you say, David, you're wrong. But what I'm very simply saying is, if you want to tell the public that you doubled your church in size because you are telling the people that there's something they could do to double their church. Hey, I doubled my church in size. Why are you telling me that? Oh, you're telling me that because you're telling me that there's a way to double my church in size. So there's a way to double my church in size? Okay. With what kind of people? Cool people? Because if I double my church in size, what kind of people are going to come? Is the motive numbers? If I have more people, does that mean they'll be obedient to Jesus? Are they here to obey Jesus, to serve Jesus, to be on fire? Are they here to turn from their culture? Are they here to embrace Jesus and despise Satan and overthrow him? What are they here for? Why did they come? What are their expectations? What did I promise them? Am I a good person? Am I a good person? What am I promising them? Am I a good person? Are the people who I am teaching, who I'm teaching, so I'm telling this guy, hey, I doubled my church in size. And he says, man, how'd you do that? If I can tell him how to double his church in size, this pastor here, he wants to double his church in size. I say, hey man, I used to have 400 members. I now have 800. Whoa. I want to have 800 members. Oh yeah? If I don't say to this guy, well, yeah, man, you better seek the Lord to see if he even qualifies you as a pastor. And if he does, brother, you better seek him for a transformation of the hearts of the people. And if because there's a great possibility that there are some people who want transformation, and you can double your church in size in that many people might want transformation, and God might give them to you. God might transform them and bring them to your church. God might bring many people to your church and they might be transformed. Because we have to think, listen, brothers and sisters, you have to know that most of the churches are cool. At least cool. Most of the churches are at least cool. If a guy's going to tell you he's doubled his church in size, it's because he's cool. His people are cool. His leadership is cool. They're cool, man. They're going to, they care that their church doubled numerically. So they're going to do what it takes to satisfy the people who the people came and stayed for a reason. And they numbered them. And they're trying to teach others how to double their church. How do you know those churches need to have more people? How do you know that those pastors are legitimate or pure-hearted? What? Who? No. Listen, the Christian is hot. The Christian is not cool. So Noah, it says in verse 5 that God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, or severe in the earth, and the imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. You want to double your church in size of that kind of people? Do you want more people in your church? Listen, you better. But what kind of people should you want? What kind of people should you want in church? Should you just want people at church? The military doesn't accept just whomever. The NBA doesn't accept just whomever. Congress, you can't just be a doctor. You can't just be a congressman. You can't just be a mechanic. You got to actually know what you're doing. But you can just be a Christian? Come as you are. You better come as you are, and come as you are to the mechanic school, come as you are to doctor's education school, dentist school, come as you are to, political science so you can become a congressman, come as you are to the NBA, and if you can't meet these standards, you can't stay in the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, you can come as you are. Anybody can enroll in doctor school if you have some type of credentials. I'm sorry, I want to be a doctor. You have any prior schooling? I don't have any prior schooling, but I am very capable of being a doctor. All right, well, fine. Here's your doctor's entry exam. Okay, and then, you can come as you are to church, but you can't stay as you are. The church is not there to help you feel comfortable. Welcome home. Home? Welcome home? The church is your home? Who is the church the home of? The church is home of the devoted. The church is the home of the devoted. You might not be devoted. You might be a liar. And when you come to church, you say, man, I don't want to be a liar anymore. Then the church is your home. You might be a fornicator and you might come to church and realize, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I no longer want to be a fornicator. I no longer want to be a witch. I no longer want to be a hip hop artist. I no longer want to be an idolater. I came to church. Yes, you don't want to be bad anymore. You want to be good. And you realize that this place, this people, this is different than you know. It's not like being at the NFL football game. It's not like being at the soccer game. It's not like being outside cutting grass. It's not like being at the car wash. It's not like being at the party. It's different. Oh, man. It's a different realm. When I come in here, it's a different dimension. I don't feel like I'm at a congressional meeting. I don't feel like I'm at a Democratic nomination rally. I don't feel like I'm at a high school graduation. It's different in here. Yeah, it's better be. It's better. It better be a different place. It's a different place. No, it's just different. I've never been to any place. Yeah, you should never have been to a place like church. Never. It's not the laundromat. It's church. It's not the hospital. It's church. Church. It's church, man. Yeah. You've never been to a place like this unless you've been to a place like this. Unless you've been to church before, you should never. No, this is different. We're not cool. You're not going to come in here and see Harry Potter on the wall. You're not going to come in here and see a Starbucks emblem. You're not going to come in here and see, the Krispy Kreme donut sign. You're coming here. You're coming to church, man. Yeah. So when it comes to church, no, church is different. Church is different. Christians are different. Christians are different. Christians don't remind you of Run DMC. Christians don't remind you of, who you remind me of? You remind me of Will Smith. You remind me of President Clinton. Absolutely not. Noah was different. Noah was different. The church is different. The church people are different. These that have turned the world upside down. The church is a different place. No, Jesus. Oh, he's different than these scribes. This guy is different. He's a bit more, no. The church is different. The church is different. The Christian is different. The Christian is not cool. The Christian is distinctive. The Christian is a world runner. The Christian is a world runner. The Christian is busy. The Christian is running the world. The Christian is not cool. Now, you might like him because he's likable. She's likable. The Christian is not cool. The Christian is hot. The Christian is hot. Wherefore come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I'll receive you. Christian doesn't remind you of anybody from the world unless you're just super worldly. You just can't even tell light from dark. Christian is different. The believer, the Christian minister is different. So if you're cool, if you are a professed Christian and you are cool in the context of what Jesus said in Luke 6, woe unto you when all men speak well of you, for their fathers did it to the false prophets. That's indicative of your need to become hot. Yeah, we can't just have people at church who just want to be at church. I know you want to be here, but if you're ice and this is a fire pit, what's going to happen to you? You're going to shrivel away and melt away. This is ice. No. So, as a person who's cool, no. The Christian is hot. You are hot. You're not cool. That's the thing. God has plans for your nation, brothers and sisters. God has plans for your people. You can't do your nails like you're cool. Fine, if you want to put some polish on it and make it glossy or something like that, if you're a female, listen, you want to put some colors on it that accommodate. I don't even know. The Lord might accept that to whatever extent. You want to put some plastic on it and, come on, what's happening? You want to just put a bunch of plastic? You want to do that? You want to do this? Come on, we're not doing this. You doing this? You're not doing that. That's fake. You're not a fake person. You're a real person, right? You're not a fake person. You're a real person. Real people, real nails, real hair, real eyelashes. Yeah, you're a real person. Real person, real nails, real eyelashes, real eyebrows. What would you think of Brother David? Brother David doesn't grow his hair here very thickly. I don't grow hair very I cut it. It doesn't grow here very thickly. What would you think of me if I took a Sharpie and just drew myself an edge? Yeah. And you'd say Brother David is a fake guy. You would say Brother David was fake, wouldn't you? What if I told you I was doing that so that we'd be cool? Well, I wanted you to think that Brother David was younger than he actually is, and so I drew myself. So then what? That's why you can't draw yourself eyebrows. You don't draw eyebrows. Either you have them or you don't. I'm trying to help you out, brothers. Either you have eyebrows or you don't. You don't draw yourself no eyebrows. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. You're not cool. You're hot. And when you get hot enough, you're going to sweat those eyebrows off, aren't you? Because you're at church, and church is a fire. And when you worship, you sweat it off. You don't want to look like a monster at the end of worship, do you? What's that going to look like if you sweat that off and it's all down here? You're going to look like a monster at the end of worship. And you're going to think it's strange when people look at you oddly when it's time to greet. You don't want to look like a monster. You want to look like a son and a daughter. You're cool. Cool people. No. You're hot. You're hot. So hot people have to live like hot people. And if people don't accept the gospel or your lifestyle in righteousness, then they don't want, then they don't, they can't have access to you. They can have access to you as a coworker. They can have access to you as an employee. They can have access to you as a guy who drives up and down the street. They can have access to you as a guy who shops at their stores. They can have access to you as somebody who uses the dryer after them at the laundromat. They can have access to you as a neighbor who walks up and down the street. Say hello. They can have access to that extent. But if they don't want your Jesus, there's a limit. There's a limit. Oh, we serve a different God, and I'm trying to tell you about him, and you don't want to hear about him. So I just figured I would just cut my grass next to you as you cut your grass, and that we would just have conversations about vain things like grass cutting until I'm done cutting my grass and I go inside of my house. Yeah. The church is not cool. The Christian's not cool. The church is fire. The church is fire. The Christians are fire. All right? And that's what we are called to be. The church is fire. The Christian is fire. The church is not cool. It's not a place for the cool. No. The church is fire. So make sure that you commit to that. When you go to church, when you say, I want to become a Christian. Oh, yeah. You are saying you want to deny yourself. You want to take up your cross. You want to follow him, and you want to have his miracles manifest in your life. That's what you are saying. You are saying, I want to deny myself. I want Jesus, and I want him now. I want his love, and I want it now. I want all of Jesus that I have access to right now until I see him face to face. Yes, we renounce our desire to be accepted by the ungodly. It doesn't matter who they are, what they drive, where they live, or what they wear. We renounce our desire to be accepted and embraced by those who hate Jesus, as demonstrated by their actions. Yeah, we have to say, Jesus, I want you, and I want to do it your way. I don't want to do it my old way. I don't want to do it their way. I want to do it your way. And as you do that, you're going to have peace with people. People are going to have, some are going to not like you. But for the most part, God's going to make your enemies to be at peace with you. Yeah. Or your footstool. So be faithful, and Jesus is going to defend you in the evil time, because he is bringing an evil time on the evil people. This is David Williams. And prayerfully, you are hot and burning as a lamp before the Lord.